I live hands with my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live hands with my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live hands with my life.
Hey, our Patrice Bryant here. I am the host of While We Wait. Today is an amazing day. It's been an amazing week, very busy, but very productive. I don't know where you're located. I'm in the Northeast and we have had some extreme heat. So we have been working diligently to remain underneath the air conditioner and drinking lots of water, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So today is July 1st. So for the month of June, I committed to doing the 30-mile run slash walk for the month of June, and that was for the American Cancer Society. So I did complete and accomplish my mission. I'm super excited about that. And then for the month of July, I have committed to doing 300,000 steps in the month of July. So I kind of started prepping my way up to that. And I know I have to do at least a minimum of 10,000 steps per day for 30 days. But I'm going to work to do more steps than that on some days because there may be days that I'm not able to do it. But I will accomplish. And that is for, I believe, this challenge. It's a fundraiser. The last one was for the American Cancer Society, and I believe this one is for bone marrow and sickle cell and leukemia. So it's a great way to, I mean, I have to exercise anyway. And when I'm focusing on somebody else and doing it for a good cause, it definitely pushes me harder to remain committed. So it's all good stuff. So if you're interested in donating, please go to my page, R. Patrice Bryant, and you will see the 300,000 steps challenge. And I will continue to share it so you can see it. But please, $5, $10, $20. I don't even know what the cap on it is, but as much as we can raise to help someone else, that would be a great thing. Well, hello to my viewers on Facebook, on YouTube, and to my podcast audience who is listening in. I hope you enjoyed last week. Last week, I had my acupuncturist come on, Mr. Richard Covello. He's a funny guy. I had him come on, and he was talking to us about getting acupuncture and the benefits of it. And I was confirming and affirming that there's no pain and it does work. So if you are interested, that if you're in this area, he's in the Fairfield County area. Is that right? New Haven County, Fairfield County, in that area. And it's acupuncturect.com. Make certain that I put it on my page again, just in case there are people that are interested. Great guy, great. You know what? You don't have to settle in any area of your life. So I plan to live a very long time, and I want to make certain not only do I look good, but that I feel good, that I'm healthy. And so I'm doing it. Yes, acupuncture, chiropractor, physical therapy. I go to the stretch zone once a week, and they literally stretch me. They're pulling my legs and stretching me out. And so, yeah, listen, if it's good for you. So today I am super, super excited. Let me just say I have been meeting some very wonderful people, and I am so excited. I have been invited to a group, and I'm meeting so many wonderful people who are doing great things. There are coaches. I mean, everybody has a different specialty. So I am bringing people from this group on to speak with us, just to share, inspire, motivate, and to empower. Today is one of those days. I have two wonderful young ladies, and one of them is, well, they're both my nieces now because I listen, I adopt folk. I'm an only child, so you'll be before it's over, you will be my family. Listen, when I get to my eyes being closed for the last time, I just want a big showing, like all, and they're gonna be like, but she's an only child. Yeah, okay, I got all of this family. So anyway, just some wonderful people. Just to let you know what's coming up, I have a coach coming on to talk about interpersonal relationship, and he's also a betrayal trauma counselor. Yeah, that's going to be epic. We also have a woman coming on to talk about her book. She's an entrepreneur, and she's just, if you have your own business or looking to put it together, this is going to be really good. And then I'm also going to have a panel with extroverts and introverts, and that's just a few things that we're going to talk about. Just great stuff. So anyway, I won't belabor the time, but I've got two nieces on today, and these are young women who are leaders and mentors and coaches and making great strides in the world. And I want you to meet them. So here they are. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, you guys.
How are you?
We're great.
Wonderful, wonderful. How are you?
It's a great day. It's a great day. And I am so excited that you guys are here with me. We were talking backstage, and I was just saying, this is just going to be a conversation with your auntie. That's really what I feel like. And everybody else will be able to benefit from it. However, if you are a viewer on Facebook or YouTube, please feel free to comment, to ask a question, and we will bring you right into this conversation. This is a very interactive segment. I love when you talk to us, and we will address it, and just have conversation about whatever we're speaking on. So please,
And
please,
share it too. And
please,
share.
absolutely right. Yes, and share. Yes, yes, yes. This is very interactive. I love that. I do want to ask, because you said share. I would like to, matter of fact, I need to share as well. I would like you to, if you would be so kind to, please like my While We Wait page on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I have Facebook viewers who are coming on. Very, very happy to see you all. Very, very, very happy. So if you'll be so kind to like my While We Wait page, as well as to share this segment, if you just take a moment to share it so somebody else can benefit from this information. So my guests and my nieces are Raven Harris, and we have Rachel Cunningham, Exavier. I am so super excited about today. Oh my God. So first, let me do it this. I'm going to go according to how long I've known you. So Rachel, because I've known you, for a long time,
Long
long
time.
time, long time. So just Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself, and just because I today I didn't even want to do an intro and just read bios. Tell us about yourself and what you do, who you are, all that
Okay.
wonderful stuff.
Definitely. So where I'll start, because we're talking about mentorship, is kind of my journey with that. So I am a young lady who was born in Stanford, raised in Bridgeport, went to Bridgeport Public Schools. My father passed away when I was 8, and I was raised at that point from with my widowed mom and my two sisters. I'm the middle of the two. Okay. I did have middle sister complex, but I don't anymore. Um, and from there, I went to college, after my primary and secondary schooling. And I found out very quickly that I was not prepared for school.
Okay.
Like the rigor in college, I was not prepared for by high school or primary school. Like I was not prepared at all. Through my resilience and determination, I ended up, making very good grades, because I'm like, I cannot, you know, come here and fail out. My mama paying for the school, and
Okay.
like,
Right.
so at the end of that semester, I went home and I was like, my pure intention was to let other young people in Bridgeport know that, hey, you're going to graduate high school. If you want to go to college, you're going to go to college. These are the things you should do. You're not going to be prepared, but this is how you gain your experience. These are the centers you go to. These are the people you connect with to meet. These are the way you connect with professors. If you different things, just different aspects of college. my whole purpose was to let them know that, hey, this is, it's not going to be easy, but you can make it. Just don't fail, get the help you
Sure.
need. Help is not a bad word. So honestly,
Abs-
that's where my mentoring started.
Okay.
From there, it's just taken off. Like I've gotten jobs facilitating for young people, and my specific age group that I'm really good with mentoring are adolescents and young adults. So
Okay.
I usually do like middle school through high school through college, and then I don't get rid of any of my mentees. Like I love them. They're like my little sisters
Right.
or like daughters and sons. So they stick with me throughout their entire life. Call me. I make relationships with people I've worked with, and I actually switched my major. I started off getting my master's in business administration and changed it to public administration because I would just feel like I was working every day of my life. It was if I was doing what I
Understand.
wanted to do,
Absolutely.
which was accounting. And you guys even see by my personality, accountant, this is not it. Accountant is not it. So
No, you're
that's
gonna
a
make
little
too
bit
much.
about.
You're gonna make too much noise because I work. I just want to interject. I actually, okay, a friend of mine got me hired at a place, and they told me it was customer service, but it was accounting, and the place was like a graveyard. So I was
I
suffocating. Right?
couldn't.
Yeah, it didn't
You
work
gotta
out for
have to
me.
talk to me. I have to have conversation throughout the day.
That
Like,
was
That
me.
was
I
that
was.
wasn't your ministry, right? That wasn't your ministry.
right. It wasn't it. It wasn't it at all. It wasn't. So I ended up through that, just finding my passion actually and my purpose for my life. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But
Okay.
honestly, like that's what I did. I ended up finding my purpose, and my purpose
Wonderful.
ended up changing my career trajectory. And now I'm in a career where I do that. I currently work at Southern Connecticut State University in their career and professional development department, and that's all about coaching young people about finding their purpose
Hmm.
career wise for their life.
That's wonderful.
Um, so it really just took off from just me purely and sincerely wanting people not to go through what I went through, not having to have the struggles that I struggled with. Like,
I
you
love
don't
that.
have to do this. Let me help you
I love
skip
that.
over this part.
I absolutely love that. I love that. So thank you, Rachel. And we also have my new niece, Miss Raven Michelle Harris. How are you today, Raven?
I am great, great. It's amazing listening to Rachel's story. We connected offline and just hearing her talk about it, so much I connect with and can relate to.
And it's so interesting because, and I forgot to tell you, and I meant to tell you before we came on, but that's okay. So you actually have another new auntie. She's on as well, but you'll meet her. And I just didn't get you her information, but yeah, we're going to make that connection as well. But anyway,
Cool, 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 cool.
Raven, tell us about yourself.
So I like to say that I'm a small town girl that's always had big dreams. I am from a rural town in Southwest Georgia. And I went off to college, started off with the whole pre-med, I'm going to be a doctor. Realized around sophomore, junior year, really wasn't into that. And had an opportunity to work with a podiatrist. And I remember at first I was super disappointed when I got matched with the podiatrist. I was like, feet for my and it turned out to be life-changing. The
Wow.
podiatrist was telling me about making sure I understood business and understanding that healthcare was also a business. And after I graduated from college, I had the opportunity to go to grad school and really continue my healthcare career. And I rose up in the ranks in my career as a healthcare leader. And the big turning point, or what I like to call reset for me, was last year. This time last year, I was the interim CEO of a hospital. And I saw so much death, so much fear, so much tears, so much sadness. And it really
Yeah.
made me think about my own mortality.
Wow.
And it made me think about my own dreams.
Hmm.
Back to how I said earlier, I've always had big dreams. And I remember feeling like an inner tug. And I know it was from God that I have more for you. I have something
Yes.
bigger for you. I have something different for you. And the end of last year, I decided, you know what? This is the time. And, I prayed about it, talked to my family about it, and I heard a clear leave, and really took a reset in my own personal life and career, and took some time to figure out what my next was like. And I found that my next was leading other young professionals and millennials who feel stuck, who feel dissatisfied, who feel burned out, and they are seeking their next. So now I've created my company, which is Activate the Dream, and it's a life and leadership company for new and emerging leaders, millennials, early careers, and young professionals that really want to be all that God has called them to be. And they need some support and they need some guidance. So super excited about it. And I definitely feel that I'm walking in my calling to be what in my 20s I definitely needed. I definitely needed some faith guided, faith foundational principles to lead me in making sure that I'm following my inner guidance, my inner tug, and just living the life that I'm called to be living. So it's definitely been a journey, and continuing to evolve and meet people, and it's been a blessing at the same time. So super excited for you all to have me, my new family. I got my new sister Rachel, my
That's
auntie.
right.
Yes, and you have
taking me in.
Girl, listen, it's my pleasure. And your Aunt Fadette is in the comments saying, "Hey, Raven." So you will meet her you will meet her very, 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 very soon. You know what? I am so inspired by you ladies, and I trust that those that get the opportunity to work with you all, I pray that they will know that they have been thoroughly blessed, and just because you guys, even at your age, Auntie Fadette says, "Hey, Rachel." You guys already right where you are have such a wisdom, and it oozes out of you. You know what you know, and you can tell when people are bluffing it. Some people have the gift of gab, but you can tell when there's substance to what someone is talking about. So I know you guys are going to make an amazing impact on the lives of young and emerging leaders, and even to the next generation. So I'm excited about what you guys are doing. So I have a question. This is dealing with life. On one of my previous segments, I think it was the Juneteenth segment, there was a statement made in regards to education, and I didn't agree. But it was the statement was made that our children, our Black children, need to see more. It's kind of two ways. They need to see more people that look like them, or they need more of them in their life, more people that look like them. Now, I think it's wonderful when we see someone of our own ethnicity doing great things, but I believe there needs to be a connection no matter what the color is. Because I was just thinking about it. I didn't have many Black teachers. I went to Catholic school. I remember one Black teacher in 4th grade. And so it's more the connection. And she wasn't, I liked her, but she wasn't even my favorite teacher. I think my favorite teacher was Italian. No, she was Irish. But I'm just saying, so it's really more of the connection. So I'm just, what is your take? Well, let me finish. Because I believe the other thing that I said about that is I believe our youth need exposure. Like, of course, we need to know about our culture, who we are, where we come from. But I don't believe we should. I don't want to. You can't overlook what has happened. But I don't believe that. I don't want to get stuck at Jim Crow. It did happen, but allow me to accept the story as a strength, saying that or expressing that our people made it. We yes, there are still some adversities, but we conquered let me see it as a strength as opposed to, you know, a lot of times I hear the stories and it's more of a reason to fight and to be mad at other races. And that's not me, because I believe I'm international, I'm global. So, and then there is really not too many pure races anyway. You know, like, okay, Rachel's got a lot of stuff in her, you
A
know.
lot of. Mhm.
Her maiden name is Cunningham. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But but what is your take on that? What do you believe in with education or even what you do? Um, just talk to me. Talk to me. I'm not even going to ask a question. Talk to me.
So honestly, I feel like it's a both and.
Okay.
So in so I'll take it from my perspective. There are many young people that I have mentored that
Hmm.
are not what I identify with ethnicity wise. Like I identify mainly as a black woman.
Hmm.
Um, I have mentored West Indians. I have mentored Hispanics. I have mentored and spoken to white people. Like I have spoken to every ethnicity, every race.
Hmm.
Um, and in every single instance where a young person is talking to me, they can feel when somebody's being disingenuous with them. So I feel that's number one. They need to feel like you're a genuine person. Like
Absolutely.
they need to feel that from you. And a lot of our young people now, because unfortunately they've had so many instances where they've had people who are disingenuine, they can
Hmm.
feel that really, really, really quickly.
Absolutely.
And so they need to definitely feel that. They need to feel like you have their back, not necessarily going to agree with everything they said, because I've had very difficult conversations with my mentees and told them they probably need to sit down somewhere, but um there's a balance of love and also accountability. Like, we're in this together, but just as much as I'm making you look good, I want you to make me look good too. Like,
Right.
come
Right.
on.
Right.
Like, you may not get it right now, but just hear me out, just listen a little bit. So I think it's a both and. I think it's okay to mentor and look up to people at all different races, but if you don't necessarily see anyone in your race that um is overcoming or in a position of power or in a position where they're making their decision makers, or in a position where they're creating spaces for other people, I
Hmm.
feel like if you don't see that, um it may not necessarily be in a mentorship, but if you don't see it with your eye, that sometimes it's difficult to kind of place that
Right.
within yourself, like I can do that. So I think it's a both and. I don't think you necessarily need a mentor that is of your same race, as long as that person is willing to be honest. And honestly, there's some stuff that I've heard, difficult conversations, difficult things that my mentees have told me. And at this point, I always tell my mentees, please be honest with me, because there's nothing I haven't heard. So there's been some conversations that I've had where, I mean, it doesn't matter what race, as long as you could tell them, I know that you've gone through that and that must have really been hard. I
Hmm.
have no understanding of what you've gone through because I haven't gone through that. But here, or maybe I can hook you up with this person, or maybe we can get you a therapist here, or
Sure. Sure.
like it's being honest with them through the process, but still willing to stick it out with them. Like,
Sure.
they don't have a lot of people to stick it out with them.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have their own stuff going on, and they may have the title or role as counselor, coach, mentor, leader, but that's a whole nother subject. We'll
Yeah,
touch on
they're
that
just
one a
there
little
for
bit.
the praise and not the tough parts. Like, where,
Right.
there's a situation that, like, somebody's mom called me. It was like, they walked outside and they ready to leave. They got a bag, and I'm like, all right, tell me where they are so I could go get them. Like, there's there's situations like that. You got to be there for the praises and the tough
Sure.
times,
Hands
because
on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And as you were talking, Rachel, I was thinking, I agree that it's a both, right? Because there's value in seeing someone who looks like you. that is succeeding and excelling, because now you have imagery of, okay, well, I can do that. It's capable. I'm capable. I'm possible, right? But there's also value in that exposure. I think about where I grew up and in the environment I grew up in. Like, I remember being younger and only knowing of a couple of careers. Like, I could be a doctor, teacher, lawyer, or police officer. But I was very fortunate to go to a PWI where I saw people with all different varieties and types of jobs and industries and excelling. So that exposure opened up my thoughts. It opened up
Yes.
I was
love that.
capable of what's possible.
I love
So
that.
being in just in a box and saying, I'm going to only be around people that look like me, talk like me, have what I have, it's limiting.
Yeah, it is.
Because you don't know all that's available, all that's
Yes.
out there, and it can really stifle you, because
you can be very
Absolutely.
you can be very
that you
small.
grew up in.
Yeah.
It makes me think about like my school system growing to in high school, especially when you were talking about you were unprepared, Rachel. Like, my high school was on the National Needs Improvement list. So I
Yes. Exactly.
I'm behind from like orientation, like freshman orientation. I'm already behind.
Right. Right.
I needed that exposure. I had an inkling I was behind, but I didn't know how behind I was. So I needed to see, like, oh, the stuff that you were learning, first week of freshman year, they learned that in middle school. Tighten up.
Middle school.
Middle school,
God,
you need to tighten up. You are behind. Had I not gotten that exposure and went to different types of universities, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have had those opportunities. I wouldn't have had conversations, opportunity to travel abroad to see, like, okay, just the way you've only seen things, that's the way you've only experienced them thus far. It doesn't mean it's the way, it's the only way you've seen it.
Right.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
And can I add to that too, that me personally, I've had mentors in my life, but then Raven just brought up something. Definitely be able to glean from people, and that is, it's a part of mentorship as well. They're mentoring you for a short period of time.
Yes.
Like, I in between my freshman and sophomore year was an au pair for a family that was in Richfield, a pediatric doctor. And they took me to Nantucket. I didn't know about Nantucket. All I knew Nantucket was the drink. Like, oh, that's the drink you drink. Like, that's that good drink. And they took me to Nantucket, and just to see like the wealth there, and to hear, people sit down with me and talk with me about how much things cost, and that I could have that too, and that different, it does. So I definitely agree. That is to reinforce what Raven was talking about that exposure. It just opens your eyes to a different world, that you're like, wow, people live like this, but it's not just like, it could happen for you too.
And you know what? I'm listening to what you said, Rachel. And the thing about it is to embrace the mindset of the wealthy, because your finances may have not manifested to that degree yet. But if you
Right.
have a wealthy mindset, I was just having a conversation yesterday evening about poverty mindset, and that's one of the things we learned about, Rachel. Poverty mindset, and
Yes.
we don't have certain conversations about, we don't talk about money in a certain way.
Right.
So in this conversation, I was sharing with someone that I can't have a conversation, or there's somebody I know that always talks about, just like, gas is going up, there's going to be gas outages, even like when the toilet paper, people said that you couldn't find it, and
Right.
you're going to get toilet paper and you're still going to get gas, or I have to pay for this. But the thing about it is your money is circulating, so
Exactly.
just can't agree with certain mindsets. And we know not saying something is agreeing. So I make certain, I say, well, I can't agree with that because I need my money to continue to circulate.
Right.
So
Let it keep on going.
so the more you're exposed to, you may not physically be there right now, but I think one of the greatest things for me was to go up to the is it the Vanderbilt mansions uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Rhode Island, and just to there was like a certain deposit of wealth just from going there. I was just like, wow, it just gets you to it opens you up. It takes some
Yes,
limitations off to be able. So that exposure is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So thank you all for
absolutely.
that. I love everything that you said about that. Also, so let me just go here. So today we're with, I have to remember my podcast listeners. We are here with Rachel Exavier and Raven Harris, and we are talking about life, love, and legacy. So as you can see, this relationship, this conversation is, it's kind of all over, but it is in those guidelines of life, love, and legacy. And I'm loving this conversation. I want to say hello to my Facebook and YouTube viewers. Gonna ask that if you're on YouTube, you can share, get a copy of that link, text it to somebody. This is a great conversation, a good, wholesome, intellectual. I love talking to people that have something to say. I love it. Beauty and brains is just dynamite. um, so I'm gonna move over to the love part right now, and um, this I love this conversation as well. I've been really thinking about this. Now Rachel is married. Raven and we are yet unmarried, but we are whole. I've had a conversation with Raven, and
Fully whole.
I totally love. I was like, oh my God, yes, this is refreshing. So I just want to talk about. So Rachel, I know you did some preparation for yourself before you got married.
Mm-hmm.
How important, and Raven, you listen, we can all talk about this. How important is it to, number one, emotionally detox before getting into a relationship with someone else? So let's deal with that interpersonal relationship piece. Anybody can jump on that.
You want to start, Raven?
No, you go ahead. You the married one.
Listen, y'all gonna be married if it's in your desires. But
Absolutely.
but I think it's extremely important. Number one, so I always have this conversation with you, Aunt Brian,
Hmm.
and Raven. Me and you had this when we were offline, but I feel like there were there was always a desire. Let me start with there. There was always a desire for me to get married. There was always a desire for me to have a husband. Um, since I was very young, like I've always wanted a family. So I can remember, like, when I mean young, like single digits, like, oh, when I get married, we're all gonna do this and we're all gonna do that. And just playing house, that type of thing, right?
Sure.
And then as I grew up, um, I always, was a little different in the dating world, right? So it was like guys liked me, but they didn't necessarily want to go for me because I was a little bit on the different side than other females. Like there was some stuff I wasn't going for, and I was very boisterous and things like that. So I've calmed that down since the marriage because you have to work together. But it was honestly at a point in my life there was a thirsty period. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when they talk about thirsty people, like I was thirsty. I was really wanting to mate, and although I was with or dating individuals, I could not see a future with them. I can really say that. I could not see a future with them. And I'm like, once I got to a certain point in my life, I was thinking like, why am I doing this? I don't have to accept just anything. Like you don't have to settle, you don't have to. So honestly, I just started working on things like finding out things that I like. That honestly, that's what I was doing, finding out what I like.
I love
I
it.
traveled, I found out like shows that I really liked. I would go watch that with people. I would take myself out on dates, and I honestly would. And it made me super uncomfortable. When I say super uncomfortable, I would be like, I was always that one that would be like, why are you eating by yourself? You need somebody to talk to. But no, like I went out and I was super uncomfortable, but I did it. And honestly, to be transparent with you, I attended these groups that were called codependency groups because was becoming codependent on another person to create a life for me that I could create on my own.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
it's just for you to enhance, but I'm
Sure.
already happy. I'm already excited. I'm already liking myself. I'm
I
already
love it.
liking and going out doing the things that I like to do. So now it's about just coming together and merging. And honestly, when I met my husband, Clyde Exavier, that's my husband. When I met my husband, I was at a point where I was like, this is what it is. If you're not with it, we can be cool, but I
Yeah.
can move on.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me now.
Yeah.
Like, so I was already at a place where I liked myself and I like who I was becoming. And I told also the other part of it is, that's what I told Raven too. You still get the urges. So I was making myself super busy. So I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing as a Christian woman. Okay. So I would make myself very busy doing things that I knew I liked, doing stuff in the community, working more with young people, mentoring and still I'm still mentoring these young people now. It's not like I gave them up because I'm married.
Right.
Like, but making myself busy in the things that I like to do, making myself more well-rounded and more of who I would want to attract,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Um, and that comes with honestly feeling good about yourself. So I was just making myself feel good about myself and
That's
doing the
huge.
work for me. And then honestly, Clyde came about. I was dating, but I was like, it happens. It happens. I desire it. And the desire never went away because I had a hope chest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know about a hope chest, but a hope chest is things you put in for when you would like to get married. So I was putting in little things like my garter or little gifts for the bridesmaids that I would want.
Nice.
Little something blue, like little things just to remind me, like, you want this and it's a desire, it's a good desire, and it's gonna happen for you, but you ain't gonna be thirsty to get it. It'll come when it's supposed to come. And
Absolutely.
honestly, if I got it when I wanted to get it, I don't think it would have lasted because I wasn't mature enough in my
Yeah.
thinking.
I understand. I understand. I just because you're married, how important is it? You touched on it. You said you loved yourself. Like, and it takes courage to not. You said settle. It takes courage not to settle,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get caught up in the whole thing of you. I shared this with Raven, like how for maybe it was like about 2 years, we had a wedding like every, I don't know, was it every month?
It was, we had like 6 weddings or 7 weddings in 1 year.
Okay, I no, but it had to be like close to 18 in 2 years. It was a lot of people.
It was a lot of weddings. Some in 2 years, it might have been close to that.
It was a
Because there were
lot.
some that weren't invite weddings. It was just like,
Correct. It
it
was
came
just,
back and it was like, we's married now.
We's married.
and I was like, oh, okay. After a while, I was like, oh, okay, all right, already. And the thing is, and I believe women need to know this. It's not, and I'm not saying don't let yourself go. I can't do it, but it's not the skinniest. It's not the prettiest. It's not the best shape. It's not the smartest. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I do, and I will remain to do that. I'm just saying that's important, right. But that's important to me. That's very my health, fitness, my presentation, intelligence, all of that is very, very important to me. But I'm just saying it wasn't any one category of a womanly type that was getting married. It was a lot of different shades, a plethora of differences. So
right, sizes.
All of that.
I was larger than what I was right now.
But that's the encouraging part. And I believe we put a lot of and we, hey, Clyde.
Hi, husband.
That's Rachel's husband. Clyde said it's all about a genuine connection. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you. It's good to hear a male's point of view. I welcome it. And Rick, if you're still on, please chime in as well. We welcome interaction. Please talk to us. I love it. But that piece about hey, he said, hey, y'all. It's just about not settling, like not just, and I think at some point I felt a little pressure because I was like, okay, well, everybody's getting married. And then I had to ask myself, am I wanting to get married because it's happening all around me, or am I genuinely ready for it? And I don't think at the time I was ready because I was still working on some things. but it takes courage to
Yes,
pause and just to work on you. That whole
it
but
does.
it you so Rachel, how important is it to be healthy with yourself, to love yourself, to have esteem? You have to have it, or it's not.
You
It's
have to. So I'm going to touch on two things. Remind
okay.
me to touch on the settling part second, because I want to
Okay.
answer your question first.
Yep.
But it's super important because honestly, in marriage, what you feel about yourself and what you are going through, as much as you don't want it to touch your spouse, it's going to touch them. So
Certainly.
if you are not treating yourself well, you are not going to treat your spouse well. You
I
can't
love
treat
it.
somebody better than you treat you.
I love it.
You cannot. It's not, there's no way possible that you can do that. And honestly, I'll be transparent. In our marriage, I um gained a lot of weight after we got married. So honestly, part of me feeling better about myself was to me for me to lose weight. And I've
Mhm.
always been a big girl, and I've always been like, watch out for the big girls. I was always a proponent of I'm not about to lose no weight because I'm about to be the big girl example. But no, I felt better about myself not being a certain size. I felt better about myself. I felt better walking up the stairs just physically. Like I just felt better about me not being a certain size. And that makes a difference when you're by yourself, that not even by yourself, when you're in your wholeness, meaning your singleness, because you're
Mhm.
going to still be single even though you're married, because you still need to be working on you. But
Mhm.
when you're in your singleness, and then when you're joined together in marriage, because that's going to come across when you're in the marriage. It really, really
Love it.
is.
I love that. I absolutely love it. So the second part.
Is the settling. So
Mhm.
I wanna I wanna choose my words softly,
Okay.
kindly.
Yeah.
But sometimes as women, we look at the outward appearance in a guy. Um, and settling, I will say, it's a both and. Like I- this is no offense to anybody, but you're not going to pick up like maybe a homeless person off the street unless you're of a certain caliber, and that's okay for you.
Mhm.
But settling to me doesn't necessarily mean with looks and things like that. Settling is the person. Who is the person?
Mhm.
Because the person could be a millionaire and a terrible human being.
That's the truth.
So settling doesn't necessarily mean in their looks, because sometimes they don't, it doesn't appear the way you would want it to appear.
Mhm.
And I tell this to Clyde all the time. He's a very handsome chocolate man. He's a very handsome chocolate man. But if he was walking on the street, it would be like I would look at him, and then we would probably cross paths. Not in a bad way, because he's not a bad looking guy. It was just in my shallow, immature nature. That's where I was in my head.
Mhm. Mhm.
You sometimes you're in your head. So sometimes you got to get out of that, because he's everything I needed. He's
Mhm.
everything I needed. His personality, the way he treats the way he is a father, the way he is a husband, the way
Mhm.
he treats his own family, his kindness, his love for individuals, his love for like the disenfranchised, the homeless population. Like that's what caught my heart, is more than the looks at that point in my life. It was about who the person is. So I don't want some females say, you gotta have a six pack, and you gotta have this, and you gotta have that. Honey, if you are not in the gym, you might not get somebody that has a six pack because you don't have one. Okay.
Hello.
So
Hello.
you might just wanna
Talk
break
to
it
us,
on
Rachel.
down a little bit. Now
Talk to us.
it's not about I'm saying if there's some people that like that and get it, but honestly be open, because looks can change. Like I said, I was heavier when I was married, before I was married,
Mhm.
and when I was married. But I lost the weight. Looks can always change, things and materials can always change, but the character and the inside of a person does not.
I hear you
And
talking.
that's what you have to live with.
Yeah. I hear you talking. That you have said a mouthful. You want to chime in, Raven? Or are you being a
Woo.
student like me?
I'm being a student, and what everything you both just said, that's a whole word that'll preach by itself. A couple of things as you all were talking that I really heard over and over again is a standard of excellence
Hmm.
in terms of not settling, in terms of what you desire in a partner, in a spouse.
Mhm.
And of course, it's not just of how they physically look. And it reminded me back when I was in healthcare, I worked at a critical illness recovery hospital. So a lot of our patients had strokes, heart attacks, or complete quads is what we call them, or quadriplegic. And I remember the spouses that would be by the bedside.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
as Rachel was talking about looks change, like where would your spouse, your partner, whoever your desire, where would they be in those moments? And I remember this one person, when one
Talk to
patient
us,
had a
Raven.
stroke, and the wife said, if I can get him back 20%, I'll take it because I love him
Wow.
that much. This
Wow.
Wow.
woman wanted to take her husband home and take care of him for the rest of his life. If I can get him back, I'll take what I can get. And I was like, oh, that's love.
Hello.
And you talked about, loving yourself. And we were like, oh, no, we're not slipping on how we look now at all. Because, how
No.
it's you owe you, right? How you show up for you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Absolutely.
that is important too, as well as like you said it. How can you love someone else when you don't love yourself?
It's not happening.
And I was like, oh, that's a whole word. And I just have to call out what Rachel was saying about making sure during the wait that she was working. Like while you wait, maximizing the moment.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what I heard her saying is like stewardship, which is
Mhm.
a reminder so much of how, Rachel is a kingdom woman. She was kingdom building, right?
Yeah.
While you wait, stewardship, that's a kingdom principle. So
Absolutely.
she's making sure that during her wait, she's still blessing people, she's still mentoring, she's still staying focused, she's still using, because I believe that we are accountable for our time. We're accountable for how
Absolutely.
we spend our time. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I see you. She was kingdom building in her weight. And that's how I see my weight. How am I serving the kingdom? Because it's a whole nother, opportunity to serve my spouse, to serve my husband once I'm married. So in this time, how am I serving the kingdom? So that it was just so good. So good. I had to unpack that because I was like, okay, I was a good steward.
Yeah.
And I was loving on me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So Fadette said self-management as you were talking, Raven. So that's absolutely that's good. Self-management. And I think like you said, Raven, and we both echo Rachel, like there's how you love you is so important because that's what's going to flow to every other relationship that you
Yes.
have. And then you also need to know what it is that you like, what you want. And I'm not just talking about in a spouse, but you need to know what you need to know your why. You need to understand your ways. Why do you do what you do? That's so important. It is so very important.
It actually helps you in your process of connecting with whoever your mate or your husband is, because it actually shows you your deal breakers. It honestly does. There's
Mhm.
deal breakers I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, I need somebody that's not gonna pressure me every day to have sex with them because I'm not having premarital sex. Like,
Mhm.
there's certain stuff I wanted. There
Mhm.
was deal breakers for me, and
Understood.
I would have never known that if I didn't do the work for me, like figuring out what I like, figuring out like, this is not it, like, oh, I like that, but I didn't like this.
Mhm.
He was really educated and everything like that. He outwardly he was what I wanted, but what he said in that line, that wasn't kind.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to those real subtle things because
Mm-hmm.
they can be subtle, but they really are red flags that we choose to overlook many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to emphasize and highlight again the courage of the weight or in the weight. There, you have to. I had to stop I gave somebody, I think I was talking to one of the people that I met that will be coming on, and I was just saying how you can be introduced to something, but that's really not you, or what you, but you don't know because that's all you know. For instance, I use drinking Pepsi. Anybody that knew me knew I wouldn't have food in the refrigerator, but I would have a
Without the
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
I wake up with the Pepsi, go to bed. Pepsi was my friend.
Yes,
you
I
know,
remember.
you know. So, but that's what my family introduced me to. Now I have to say on this side of it, I prefer ginger ale. Um, and I use that because if all you know is your own culture or what has been deposited in you, but you haven't stopped to see, well, do I really like this, or why do I do this? Is this really me? No, this is really, you're right. For that said, Pepsi should have paid me. Honest to God, I still want to do a
So
Pepsi
many
jingle.
Pepsis.
I want
Look,
to do a
go ahead and
Pepsi
sponsor
jingle.
this right now while we wait.
I want to do a Pepsi jingle. That, but but I do want them to. They should have paid me because I would have gotten them a lot of. While in the wait, never make excuses for red flags. Yes, ma'am. Never, never. And that's a part of settling. Now there's no fairy tale or perfect relationships. Relationships, any of them, whether
Our
it's
work.
all of them, all of them, all of them are work. It takes work. And I love what we're doing, conversating. I had a conversation last night, and it was just so wholesome and healthy. In relationships, all of them, a lot of times we don't take the time to just talk. We just do a lot of fluffy stuff, and then when it comes to male and female, a lot of times we're going off of those butterflies and those emotions or your feelings, but you're not asking any questions. You're not really,
Absolutely.
you don't get to know another person. You just love, I love the way I feel, or I love being in love with being in love, and that's just so unrealistic. And
Yeah.
that is the reason for a lot of failed relationships because
Especially deep question, like, and not, I'm not saying deep as in like it could be spiritually deep, but deep questions like, okay, if we don't want to put our mother, my mom, or your mom over here, is it okay if they live with us? How would you
mhm,
feel about that?
that's a
You
question.
don't like, that's a
That's a,
question because
that's a question. That's real.
so we will have definitely have conversations about that.
That's a
And
question.
honestly, with the encouraging part, I wanna say this because sometimes people can make us feel bad for desiring a husband. That's not a bad desire.
It is not.
It is
It's not.
truly not a bad desire. So if you desire that, keep on desiring it. Some days are going to be, I'm not going to lie to you, are going to be a little bit more interesting than others. Like, dag, I ain't got no mate. This person getting married. But you don't judge your journey off of
Mm,
somebody else. We
that's
don't
good.
know who that person has as their mate. It could be everything you don't want. You get
Hello.
what I'm saying?
Yes, I
So, like,
do.
you so I want to just encourage, still have that desire, still
Mhm.
have that within yourself. Just do the work. And honestly, I would take, my pastor said this one time and I used it probably a good to 90% of every time that I would feel a certain type of way about being not being married. I would be like, God, you're positioning me in a place where I'm gonna meet the mate that is for me.
Mhm.
We're Holy Spirit, put me in the direction that I'm supposed to be and to meet
Mhm.
who is for me.
Mhm. So you caught one of those nuggets. I've written down some too. There's some little quick prayers that she put out there, and I was like, wow, okay, So
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So being it will happen. It's not it's when it's supposed to happen and when it's gonna stick. You
The
want it to
timing,
stick.
the correct
Because we only
timing.
want to do this one time. One time.
Playing
Yeah,
for keeps.
God's perfect timing. Perfect
Playing,
timing.
playing for keeps. And then I'm celebrating 1 year with While We Wait. This is our first anniversary, and
Happy
this
anniversary.
Thank you. And I didn't even remember. I happened to look in my memories, and it came. I was like, oh my God, I did this for a year. So this is really good. Even this particular discussion, because this is how While We Wait started. We were talking to unmarried women because there are so many stigmas. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had sometimes people like to play games. So I received a phone call and the person was like, well, you don't want to be a beautiful old maid. And I said, you know what? I think I have to get off the phone now because you're trying to plant a seed to mess my head up.
Right.
And I feel good about myself. But what it was is that they weren't my choice. Just because I don't want you doesn't mean I don't have a desire to be married. You know, like me and Cray Cray don't mix. So
Exactly.
I have to say, I am enjoying my journey now. I'm enjoying my journey because I have done a lot of work on myself. And I would just like to encourage women to work on you. Have courage to be still for a moment and really find out. Learn you. Learn you. Learn how to love yourself. And
Absolutely.
I think that's so amazing. I'm going to move on to legacy. And we kind of touched on it before. Um, and I wanted to ask, because you're both mentoring and really pouring into your generation as well as the next generation. What is your message to? Hold on, I'm going to read a comment. In response to the title, "Enjoying Together" is about. I don't know that word. You're smarter than me. About embodying. Is it embodying divine love, which is pure and unconditional, that shines upon everything it meets, which has no intent but to fulfill itself. And thank you, Rick.
In
Um,
short, that means keep it God in the marriage. Glory
in short, okay, yeah, okay.
is me, my
Thank
husband,
you.
and God always.
Got to keep them first. Thank you, Laverne. Thank you for wishing us a happy anniversary. I appreciate it. So, what is your Raven and Rachel? What is your message to humanity? Rachel, you spoke about coming into your purpose, and Raven, you spoke about finding greatness when you went to work for the podiatrist, and you made me laugh when you said feet. You know, but what is your message to humanity? Like, what do you want to be remembered for?
When I think about that, I think live full, die on empty.
Yeah.
The late great Dr. Miles Monroe says the richest place on earth
Agree.
Yes,
is the cemetery.
it is.
I said, not on my watch.
Come on, ma'am.
That's how I want my legacy to be.
Awesome. Awesome. I
I,
love it.
I, I would say definitely the same. So I want my legacy to be remembered when I see myself years down the line, Lord, I ain't ready to go yet. Just give me. But
Life, long.
honestly, long life, right?
Live,
So
live,
when
live,
I
live, live.
do end up transitioning off of this earth, I see everybody that I've helped around me, and then seeing that spread, like, because the things that you plant in other people, they're gonna then turn around and give it to somebody else. So my hope is that the room full of people that I have helped and that I have touched, it will be all over the world, essentially, because that's how many lives I've essentially touched because of my things that I have passed on.
That's excellent. And I'll just share. Um, all of my nieces and nephews and my children know that I am a connector and I am a protector. And I want them to be able to share the stories whenever I close my eyes for the last time and say, Aunt, they call me Aunt Giant. Yeah.
Yes.
One of my nieces, when she was very young, couldn't say Bryant, so she called me Giant, and that just kind of stuck with it. So everybody started calling me Auntie Giant. But that's important to me, that when, you know, or later on in their years, and that they will pass that along, that, funny stories about Aunt Giant. Because it's funny, some of Generation Z, they don't, some of them, they don't have a whole lot to say to me. They speak, they respect me. Um, but I watch them, how they respond on Facebook. And I believe someone has told them some stories, because I also see some of their responses. So they know I will show up, the connector and the protector. Um,
Right.
so that is definitely what I am. I will, anything that I know that can benefit you, I will point you in the direction. So I'm always doing research to do that. So this has been great, guys. This has been so great and wholesome. And you guys are definitely coming back along with
Would love to.
Fidette.
Thank you.
Yes, we're definitely going to come back together along with Fidette. And there is, her name is Dawn Marcotte. We're going to be talking about extroverts and introverts. Not bad, not good, just identifying and getting an understanding, because a lot of times people don't understand. There's a whole element behind identifying what you are. So it's just how can we all work together and be better with each other. So we'll be coming back, and that may be next week. I have to look in my book, but I've got some amazing people coming on. I can't wait. Guys, thank you so very much. I can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see you again.
Thank you.
Be safe and stay well. I love you guys, and we'll talk real soon.
Love you.
Love you.
Emily. Thanks.
So, guys, there you have it. Life, love, and legacy of three. Well, I'm going to say two. I mean, I'm amazing too, but I'm going to talk about them. Two amazing young ladies. I just thought that was a great, wholesome conversation. And I hope someone was encouraged today. We did some girl talk because I believe we should share that there are some intelligent, beautiful women who are doing great things, who are not settling. And it takes courage not to settle in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Because normally when you're not settling, you're going against what society says is the norm or is okay. So I'm very grateful to know some people with a higher standard. And that's what I work on daily, to have a higher standard and not let society tell me what I should be, what I can be, what I cannot be, because I can do whatever the heck I want. All right, guys. Thank you so much to YouTube, to Facebook, to my listeners. So grateful that you're here. Remember, life is worth living. Remember to be strong, be wise. Keep enhancing your life, because life is worth living while we wait. Take it easy.
I stay wise. I live in heaven's way. I stay strong. I stay wise. I live in